Hello, welcome to the second part of the data entry and editing lecture. I'm Oskar Hurst, and I'm here with the Water Management and Systems Division at HEC, the Hydrologic Engineering Center. For the second part, we're going to be looking at tabular editing. So specifically, how do we edit data from an existing data set? So there's two ways to access the tabular editor. The first would be by selecting your data set and then clicking the edit option in the top menu where you can find the tabular editing button. The second is that you can also get it when you're inside of a table. If you click edit and allow editing, it'll then turn that table into a tabular editor. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. So here we have our DSS view open. And if we go ahead and we go to edit, we can see tabular editor right here, and it'll open up our tabular editor, and you can see that we can go ahead and change our values to whatever we want and save them. So the second option is that if you have opened a table, you can see that you can't change any of the values, but if you go to edit and allow editing, you can now change the value to whatever you want. No. Okay. So as you can see, when you're doing any of the editing, you have to edit individual cells one at a time. And you can do that by just clicking on the cell, left-clicking it, and then you can type as you would normally type. So let's say that you want to edit multiple cells at once. Then you're going to want to use some of our pop-up menu options. So within our pop-up menu, we have the fill option. So let's go ahead and look at the capabilities of the fill option. So we go to File or Edit and then open the tabular editor. And we select an area that we want to fill. And we right-click and then click the Fill option. You're going to see we have 5 different options here. Linear fill, repeat fill, repeat to end, add constant, and multiply factor. So linear fill will take the first value and the last value and linearly interpolate all the values in between. So based off of the line that connects these 2 points. So if we go and demonstrate this, just click OK. You can see now all these values in between are being linearly interpolated to exist on that mx plus b line that connects these 2 points. Also within the fill, we have repeat fill. So this is going to take the first value at the top and repeat all the other values to be identical. So you can see all the values have now become 2,318. We have repeat end, which is the same as repeat fill, but it does this for all values in the file that are after the initial value. We have add constant, which is just going to add a constant to all these values. So let's say we add 10, it's going to add 10 to it. And we can see this value was increased by 10. And last, we have a multiply by factor. So if we multiply this by 2, we're going to see arrow values become twice as large. Perfect. So let's see what other options we have while we're using the tabular editor. Let's say now we wanted to delete all these values. All these values are now incorrect. They've been modified, and we just want to delete them. So to do that, all we have to do is click clear, and it'll remove all the values and set them to missing if this is a regular time interval. We also have the option of selecting the values and going to edit and delete rows, and it'll delete the selected rows. We're just going to go to edit. All right. And we can see that all those have been deleted. So this is when you're working with regular time series. Let's say if you're working with irregular time series. So no. So when working with irregular time series, when deleting rows, it permanently deletes them. It no longer sets them to missing values. So let's go ahead and pull up an example of this. So let's grab a regular time series here. So now, if we go and select values and we click clear, it's setting them to missing. But if we go and select values and we select edit, delete rows, it'll fully delete them. So that's fully deleting them is only possible when you're working with irregular interval time series. Now let's look at about adding data. So once again, adding data looks a little bit different for both irregular and regular time series. So within a regular time series, let's look at an example again. If we want to add data, we can only add data before or after all the values within our time series. We can't overwrite any of the data. So we go to edit, insert rows. You can see how many rows you want to add, and all these is before, and how many rows you want to add after. So we go to click OK. We're going to see we now have, 10 more rows added before our first value. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we can see we got 8 more rows added afterwards. So the difference is that when you're working with irregular time series, you also have the option to add data in between values. So if you click at a point in time, then you go to edit and insert rows, you now have this option at the top here, which is insert between the value you selected and its next value. So we can insert between the 18th of January, 1921, and the 20th of February, 1922. So here, it's the same idea. We can just select how many values we want to add, and we can click OK, and now we have blank values that we can write in, and we can also change the times if we want to match. By default, it's going to create the best interval to match the amount of values in between there. So once you're done editing, same as within the manual entry, we're just going to want to save our edited time series. So within the tabular editor, you're going to click File and Save As. And you can either save as the same path if you want to overwrite the old data, or you can change the version or any of the other parts of the path to create a new data set. And so now let's look at editing using Excel. So when you're editing using Excel, all you have to do is, once again, is select your data set that you want to edit, and then you click Edit, and you can find the Edit in Excel option. So once you're in Excel, you can make all the changes that you want. The only important things that you need to know is that you cannot add or delete any of the rows or columns. All the rows and columns, like the dimension, there has to be 2 rows and 2 columns, or 3 columns and 100 rows. That all has to stay the same. So let's go ahead and show a quick example of this. So here is our regular time series, and we're going to go and click Edit in Excel. Okay, so one important thing that I've done is that a mistake that I've made, that many other people have made, is that you need to make sure not to click OK, because the clicking OK there is what is saving the edited data from this file. So we can go ahead and close it again. Don't save. And if we go ahead to edit in Excel, we're going to see you have this prompt, which is press OK after you have saved the Excel file. So after you've made any of the changes that you want, and you save the Excel file, then you click OK. So here's our new file here. And we can edit any of the values any way we want. Same as before, we can go ahead and change the value. And then when you do, file save, for this instance, I'm not going to save. But when you'd save, then you'd click OK, and it would save it into your time series. Okay, and editing paired data, we just wanted to mention that editing paired data is exactly the same as entering time series data. You have the same fill options, but editing pair data is more like it has more of the capabilities of editing the irregular time series, because you can add points in between and edit any of the values there. There's no restrictions to it. All right, thank you so much for listening to the second part of this lecture. In the third part, we're going to be talking about using the time series graphical editor. Thank you so much, and see you again.